Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's HK with Lisa Zimmerman and Sarah Maier. Super excited to have these two. Sometimes I answer the phone and sit up at the front desk here, and people are always asking for Lisa Zimmerman, Lisa Zimmerman. Like, she is always on the phone, constantly on the phone, aren't you?
Yeah, you're probably
Yeah. It's quite a lot. So those of you that have your phone, talk to Lisa. She's always on the phone. And Sarah is Sarah, a mentor. She's done ATAs before, and just a superstar. They're both superstars, and I did not know that they had a relationship. So super excited to hear about how that formed, what it means, what it looks like. BFFs, real estate BFFs. So it's not gonna weird.
It's not weird.
It's what?
It's not weird.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not weird. They've got this great relationship, and really excited to hear about it. And we've got Zoom working and up and going. Okay, so we don't have any microphones. So if you have a question, please project your voice so people on Zoom can hear. And I may interrupt and just reiterate your question if it sounds a little soft, or ask you to repeat it louder. So you two can project your voice too, because we're going to have a lot of people on Zoom.
Sarah and Lisa are proof that 1 + 1 is 11.
Not heard of that, but
Yeah.
well, thank you for the kind introduction, Jackie. So you asked me to do an ACA, and I think kind of the premise was that I could consider a lot of different avenues of real estate, commercial, and in my mind, I was like, I think Sarah and I would have some value to maybe provide to dance together. Yeah, well, just kind of like, you were in real estate. You got started about a solid 2 years, or maybe a little more, before I did. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, some people probably know we worked together, but it is a little bit of an interesting story.
Mm-hmm. So how we first met is obviously, like, I started my career, I've always worked leads, like, I still call them leads, but internet turning of internet leads. It's not for everyone, but if you're good at it, you can, obviously make a very successful business from it. Well, once I broke off on my own, because I could afford the leads myself, I started to build a pretty successful business, but I also was very busy. I don't think I said no to anything. And I was pregnant in 2007.
Still probably don't say no.
And I was looking for people to work my internet leads in 2017, because I was having a baby and I knew I wasn't going to be able to convert like I was, and I didn't want that money to go to the wayside. So upon trying to connect with agents, I just really wasn't feeling like I was finding the right fit for that. So I kind of had a little breakdown, and I called Tom, and I'm like, I need like a go-getter. Like, I just need someone like, me that, when you work internet leads, it's a business that's being put into the palm of your hand. You just have to know how to take it from there. And it requires steps, and it requires like just finding a happy common ground. And I called Lisa. I think she remembered where she was. And the rest is kind of history. Like, I asked her if she wanted to start working through these internet leads for me, and she said yeah. And then she started converting just like me. So we just really started powering through them. And the time we were heavily working Zillow. Mm-hmm. Zillow was operating much differently at the time. The leads were being handed to you direct. I know there's a lot of changes with that. We both don't work Zillow or Realtor anymore. But at the time, we were working them pretty heavily. So we could, just pass them off to each other and just convert.
It was really at the time, was that 2017? Mm-hmm. So I got into real estate in the latter part of 2015, 2016. I quit my day job. I was a nurse in my first life for 17 years. And I got busy enough with real estate that I was able to just go full-time real estate. And so I was kind of in a position where I was really trying to grow the business. We were a new brokerage. I got in the relocation team. So yeah, when Sarah called me spring of 2017, I was at 48 the week old. I remember. I was very sick. I was like, oh, rock star. So I felt, I don't know. And we know each other from the PE classes that we've done that Cheryl.
We didn't even know. We were sitting next
That's how
to
we
each
met,
other and
yeah.
we didn't even know each other at the time. Like, I think I was just
She was pregnant.
full, I'm not having baby mode.
You
I
were.
wasn't even able to like, take it in like I probably should have.
Yeah.
But she was saying like right now, we were in the same class, we didn't even like talk.
You were my partner. I signed. We had probably partners or something.
Yeah.
We talked a little, but not
Yeah.
much.
Then we just found that we had like a lot of common ground outside of real estate too, and just became kind of like each other's like ride or die, but like support systems and just knowing each other's strengths and when she would be better at working something versus me. And that's how it's really grown today.
I got my Iowa license at the time, and probably 10
years
years.
later, right?
I think it was 20. It was within a year. I know I had it in 18 for sure. But then we, just continued to work well together, and then ended up hiring an assistant together. I had some part-time assistants that I worked with, or I wasn't very good. I didn't know what I was doing at the time to hire an assistant, and then I'm not sure. I don't think you had an assistant either.
No, we were both in that point where we wanted to bring someone in, and we knew we had enough workload. And it's like hard to obviously let go of those reins, but I think finding your common ground with one person that you can leverage your costs, we were like, okay, this will be good. Oscar was with us originally, and we decided he has moved on, but
Started his team.
but we're like, okay, we want to find an assistant that we can obviously pay enough that's going to be committed to us full time. Let's come together, we share an office, we share an assistant, and then you're able to pay your assistant way more money collaborating.
Well, simultaneously, we were kind of really honing in our systems and processes with clients, and so we were really talking about that and a lot of how we operate. Not 100% now, but and our system is Katie Oprina, but we were kind of getting our systems together so it was easier to streamline it for her, so she knew what to do for both of us somewhere.
Like we just operate very similarly.
That's a question. at the
Yeah.
beginning. So when you say you guys got together, was it a 1099 partnership? Was it a formal partnership? Was it like, hey, listen, your business is separate from my business, but we share this common expense? Can you tell us the
That's
structure?
exactly how it is. We do
Perfect.
not
So that
operate
way-
as a team.
Perfect.
We share an office, share an assistant, but it's all.
Sometimes I pass her off, like, or vice versa. I mean, I do refer to her as my business partner,
Yes.
but yes, we don't like have a team or have anything coming in together. But we do know each other's strengths. So obviously, like, this is really blossoming in commercial. I know when I have a client that would benefit from some of the commercial platform use and stuff, I know immediately that I'm going to look better bringing in that agent with me, even though I'm sharing a commission with them. I know that the products that I'm going to be able to use that she can provide to that client is beneficial, so I will bring her on, and vice versa. Yeah. So, Lisa, like, has a client building, and she knew that like my strength in marketing would help kind of ignite that. So, together on the partnership, we know when each other are vital to each other to utilize on a listing.
Yeah. Really more like a collaboration, really, but. And thank you for asking questions. So this is, we kind of have some
We're just kind of
punch list
rocking.
items, but I like open communication. So if anyone has questions, keep them coming. What about your history of kind of how you got started early on? Some people may not know about that.
Yeah, so as I said, like I worked for Cover 26, kind of on his back end. working like his internet leads, helping his agents convert those if those appointments set. So I really kind of learned that. And then obviously I transitioned with Troy Benish, and then I worked realtor.com, and I was just very good at it. It's internet leads, as I said, aren't for everyone. But if you can, meet these strangers and convert them, obviously these are all our clients now that are giving us referral business. And Lisa and I really, really focused on working low dollar price points together. Like
All dollars.
we were like really focused on, and you don't see that now, the foreclosures and the short sales and everything, but like, that was another thing when I was pregnant. No one wanted to work these 100,000 or less. Like, her and I together, I mean, we just started converting. Those clients have bought low dollar, now 4 properties, but sold and bought and sold and bought, and probably become our best clients and send us the most referral because we took the time to work with them on this 80,000 property, and we still do it. I mean, we don't ever separate ourselves on a crazy if no job's too small or big, whatever we take on, and that we know each other's strengths. So if I don't think it's a good fit for me, I quickly put it into her hands and vice versa.
What do you think are the top 3 skills that you guys have honed to be able to do internet lead conversion? Not just internet leads, but actually convert, stay on the horse.
Sure. I spent a lot of time thinking about it, but early on, like I had kind of questions and, kind of a form thing, and someone would call, I'd get my notebook, I'd be asking all these questions. I kind of tuned that back a little bit. Like if you just think when that person, you get that person on the phone, they just want to win. They want to see the house, they're excited about it. So I initially probably started asking too many questions, and then, you want to understand if they're pre-qualified or not, but my method, really kind of what I honed it to at the end of the day was, I'll pretty much give you one house. If I can meet that person in face to face, that's when you convert them. So I'm not gonna, unless it's like a scary situation. Sarah's very good about checking.
Well, now we're warm about the camera. What? Are you okay?
Like Matt, like they in the car. I've never had any scary experiences. I've not had any, but so at the end of the day, that was probably number one advice, like just set up a showing, meet them in person, and then figure it out and go from there.
And that's your main goal on your internet call.
It mostly sound like really, I mean, you can kind of tell based off the conversation, but if you just, they just want to see the house, they don't know they don't know they're supposed to be pre-approved first. I didn't know that before I was an agent, I was like, well, I'll get that, So if I mean, I kind of go off my gut instinct, but if they sound somewhat, I'll go show them the property and I can talk about it.
Yeah, I think that initial face-to-face is the most important, just being able to capture them. And then you have to provide immediate value from there. So, the showing's one thing, but then, they're out. And not everyone you met with would find some. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to follow up so hard on this one, but, I would immediately come back and send them every other property that would meet the criteria of that home. Immediately link them with a lender and have that lender call to get the financing. Immediately provide points of value. And over the years, maybe that was just a printout and the disclosures at the time. Obviously now we develop, flyer packets but at the time, we weren't doing that at all. Just even printing the disclosures, having one little, tidbit about yourself and explaining the process casually through that initial contact, because a lot of people don't know how it works. They don't know, that you delegate to one agent. So I think that would separate ourselves apart. Initial value, follow up, just finding common ground.
That's a good point, because I would say, we're just talking to these, and again, we don't really
we're happy to do it. I mean,
We
I haven't had
still do
difficulties,
take leads, online leads, I mean, it's never
Not
left
as
our
much,
blood, I mean,
but-
we're pretty good at it, but yeah, I mean, I'm not as heavy hitting on them as I used to be.
Well, I would say at least 50% of the time, I mean, there are some clients out there that will just call Bill because they don't want to bug their agent. So it could be your opportunity to shine as well, and maybe you're gonna, you know, I mean, they are kind of bouncing around potentially between agent and agent, so, yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, the initial start of finding someone that can support the cost that goes into that, and then finding someone that can help you work them and convert them to. As I said, I've gone through a lot of agents that just couldn't turn them like me, you know, there's not everyone that can do it, or that's a good fit for them. Like some people do open houses, and they think that's great, that's not so knowing that she could start converting them, you know.
And it builds your network over time.
Jay
Jay, you
had
have a
something.
question?
Yeah, I was just curious, you talked about setting up systems, that you have good systems in place, like what are some of your systems that have moved you to the next level?
So, yeah, well, I mean, just some of them initially were like, you know, I didn't even have a buyer packet when we first started together, so we developed the buyer packet. Like our emails, monthly emails, the way
Our fee, we have like, we
we
keep
have
our
our
systems
CRMs
extremely
and the way
simple.
that Katie is recording it for us after closings. We kind of got away from asking for reviews, but it was like she would always have a system of email, like do this and ask for reviews. What else?
So we use the fee, we partner on all our client events together.
We send tax letters at the end of the year, so she automatically knows
Yeah,
how
a lot
to
of
do that.
And then obviously there's things some of us do differently, like Lisa's not big on social media. I don't use social media as a platform to get business, it's just, I'm not trying to be like that on the platforms, but I do think it's to help me keep top of mind for the client to follow me, so that Lisa doesn't do so much there, you know, but.
Yeah, I want to have a presence,
Yeah.
but I should not even.
Yeah, it's like, how she does her DMs, she does all our mass mailing, you know, it's all, any of our events we do pie pickup.
I stay in touch with my sphere very well, so, yeah.
We just, like, all of our pinpoints is, you know, we follow a lot of that same common ground of just keeping, you know, if I'm implementing something, I usually say, hey, do you want to do this with me?
Cool.
I like that it
Kind of
sounds like
lucky that way.
a lot of the people train you, like if you did the fee, like you do this set of things, or if you do leads, you do this set of things. I like that. It sounds like you're doing everything.
Taking the best of the best piece.
Yeah, and mixing all of it.
Zimmerman's ads in the newspaper still, guys.
I saw that, yeah.
No, you
She does.
I do.
I've seen it.
I do.
What's your ROI on this?
You know, I do get calls off of it, and obviously, like, they're, you know, not everyone is internet savvy, so especially like on something that could be, your clientele could be, you know, 70 or older, you know, someone that's still maybe opening that paper, I do get calls, like, I got a lot of calls on Parsons Drive, but I think beyond your return on it, is to show your client that you're doing something, like,
Yeah.
you're putting it out in front of somewhere, something, so I do have people come to my open houses, sometimes I'm seeing that. Now, how they're seeing it, whether they're opening the paper, if it's, I don't follow it that close, but I think just, you know, telling my clients in a listing presentation, hey, I do old school and new school, you know, we're just making sure we hit all our age groups here, especially if you're marketing a ranch or someone that could be downsizing that's not internet savvy, but they do open the paper every Sunday, you know. I usually run my ads Thursday through Sunday, and then, you know, I'll just change that out. But as I said, it's just really to show your client who's just adding that extra little bit of putting their property somewhere.
Going back just real briefly, because I think it's so powerful what you do, and really I don't think very many people do it. And it's super special the way you guys execute on it. And I've had lots of conversations with lots of people because people want to do business together, right? But it almost never works to be a team even if you're just collaborative, not a team real estate commission, if it's revenue based. But it works much better if it's expense based, where you're expense sharing. So you can pool your resources like the assistant and other things, because it's tangible, right? You know exactly what it is. You know what your portion is. You know there's synergy there. And the fact that you're able to be able to do that, and then you can take the one-offs, so the opportunities that present themselves, and negotiate a one-off, and that's in the other person's wheelhouse. Just, I think that the power of that is so incredible that you don't necessarily have to be a team, but you can be collaborative in nature. And can you expand on that? Because I think that's so powerful with the way you guys, it's so unique. Most people don't do it. And I think I've been encouraging people by watching you. I've been encouraging people to do it. Do you understand?
Yeah, we do that. We don't nickel and dime each other on anything. I mean, I know when Lisa's time is used for mine, I'm going to get her back on that time. You know, she's made numerous trips to Iowa that hasn't transpired, but she knows I'll put that next visit into her hand, or when she's out of town, I'll return the favor, or we know if, you know, she's not at a computer and needs something written up quickly, I will do it, and vice versa. We used to
Just having the sounding board and somebody to collaborate with, you know, and it's also motivating and it holds you accountable. Yeah, I feel like as well.
Yes, just bouncing ideas off each other. I mean, we are like literally, you know, are each other's like, I guess so we wouldn't use the word that, but like, we definitely, you know, like, you know, tricky things. Better making lives that kind of, you know, you just need someone to kind of let that go on. You don't really want it to be your spouse all the time. Like, you know, we're moral support on that too for each other.
Well, and just sometimes too, like, hey, how would you handle this situation, you know, or experience, so that, having someone to bounce ideas off of.
But yeah, as I said, the cost is huge of sharing, and there's a lot of platforms that Lisa pays for on the commercial aspect that I don't pay for, but I know when those resources are going to be vital for me, and it's not like Lisa is saying, oh, you need to pay into these systems. She knows I'm going to bring her on that listing. We're going to split it 50-50. And, you know, I know that those tools are going to be vital for my clients. So it's just a win-win for and those clients have referred us other clients, and then we've gotten more clients, and they just like seeing us work together.
It's a snowball effect, really. If you just kind of keep exploring, you know, one thing and everything just falls into place.
Mm-hmm. One other thing, if you guys would address it for people who haven't known you, is you guys are both brilliant at interacting with other agents, especially when you have a listing that, like Sarah, remember the up in Ponca Hills thing, like we like cried together. But bouncing off like what's happening with yours and calling other agents, and like the spirit of cooperation that the two of you do is really, really, really brilliant. And I want to give you kudos for that, but also I'd like you to speak to some of the maybe newer agents that don't realize that that's the third piece in all of this, is that interaction and the respect that you get from other agents because of your willingness to not only help them, but ask them to help you. So talk about
Yeah, I mean, with Parsons Drive, I think obviously I tend to focus on agents that obviously are selling heavy in that area if I'm trying to connect with them. And maybe I'm not doing it the first week on market, but then when you're sitting and need to kind of, but I also think, I mean, I had so many agents congratulate me after Parsons Drive because I had called so many times. We were
doing it together.
And like, you know, and they were like, so excited when I sold that. And so, but I think to go back to your clients and be able to say, like, look, I'm having communication. So not only are you getting educated on what the market's doing out there, but then you can relay that to your client. They can see you're doing all these extra touch points are huge, because I mean, I still think there's probably a whole slew of things I should be doing my listing that I never think it's enough, you know, and
it has changed right now. I think it was 2 weeks ago, the ATA, there's a lot of good things that came out about now when our houses don't sell overnight. We are going to have that communication with clients, and there is going to be a lot more follow-up with other agents. because it's not a, 24-hour market anymore, so.
But I'm constantly texting agents too, like for my buyers, if I know a listing agent that's heavy in that area, I'm constantly texting them, hey, please keep me top of mind if you have something coming up or this, it's just, trying to collaborate with other people as well.
I think 4 years ago, you had that listing with no basement, remember? It was 3 or 4 years, it was a newer home, there was no basement. I came to visit with one of my clients. You followed up with me 4 times. Not to say, hey, are you gonna buy it? You gave me updates every time. Hey, I just wanna let you know, the one across the street or the one down the road, and hey, I just wanna let you know they updated this. So I think your follow-up, like you're saying, as I'm listening to you both, I'm like, I've witnessed it. And you're made for this market to where you were doing it before when you didn't need to.
Yeah.
And you're doing it now, so it's like,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool.
And that's a good point, like, I was just kind of thinking like, okay, really even in 15 and 16, like the market was good, but it wasn't the craziness that we experienced in, 18, 19, 25, it was still different. So, and I was a couple years newer than you were, but it was still like,
it was easier to convert buyers, obviously, when we came into the industry, and now is going to be that opportunity again,
Yes.
right? Like, you're going to see buyers agents start converting a lot more. And remember, those clients are going to turn into your listings eventually. I was never listing heavy. 7 months into my business. Buyers, always buyers and converting. And now you're going to see that, like, with inventory sitting a little bit longer, like, if you're working or if you're taking leads in a certain zip code, I strongly believe you're going to be in a position to start converting those much quicker now because inventory is sitting, you have more to choose from, those buyers have time to negotiate, and you're going to be able to start getting your numbers up that way. And remember, those clients are going to be, your forever, you'll nurture them. You learn how to nurture. I mean, I don't do doing top 5 anymore, but we focus on more client events. And do touches, different touches, but now's the opportunity, really. I mean, you're gonna start seeing these buyer agents, I think, convert much quicker than they have been able to, for sure.
At what point do you have them fill out a buyer's agreement form?
like, I never won.
Like a buyer.
Exclusive agency.
Yeah.
The question was, do you have we've had the conversation like a long time ago. And honestly, right now, there's that word.
Obviously.
Yeah, I've been very, I just can't shake it. Page reference, everyone.
Just, you're like, so we're I lost my train of thought now.
Buyer agents. Oh, it's not, I haven't done it before. There was one time where, a couple years ago, and this was like pre-pandemic, where, I got burned, and it's like, okay, should I have done it? And it was, they ended up going to an open house. I've been working with Mrs. Buyer and not Mr. Buyer, and, anyway, once Mr. Buyer got involved and everything, we've been writing offers, and it was really kind of, but no, that, I just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean it's
That doesn't
wrong or
mean
you shouldn't do it, but yeah.
Well, a lot is coming
Yeah,
down.
a
A lot is coming down with that.
Yeah, we might be implementing that, but usually I tell my clients, like, look, I'm in it to win it, if you're in it to win it with me. Like, if you can give me the time that I need, I will give the time back.
Well, you've done a buyer consult too, and you've met with them and they understand the process, you're gonna feel like their lifeline, and they're not gonna wanna stray hooks. And even if it wasn't meant to be.
And there's definitely buyers I've lost just not due to good follow-up, and that's because they're not communicating back to me. There's only so much I'm gonna send you to be ignored before you have to understand, like, to my clients, I think they're just as lucky to be working with me as I am with them, and I really try to get that point across to them. If you've landed yourself with a really good agent, I need that open communication, or it's gonna fall off. You're gonna fall to the bottom of my priority list. I have lot, I mean, yeah, people
Well,
are not gonna be excited for that.
The word pipeline is coming in mind, like I'll say, hey, Sarah, I got this coming up, let me go back to my pipeline and see what I got, so she's, we're keeping notes of sign calls, clients that have, I mean, you put a sign in the yard, it's so many calls, so,
Yeah, and as I said, I mean, I just got burned out on the converting. When you're taking on leads and you really want to work that young, I mean, you are on call 24/7, 7 days a week. It is a lot. So after obviously I did burn myself out eventually, and I don't, can't take them and work them like I used to. I just don't think I'm at. Sometimes but yeah, as the industry shifts, you're like, okay, should I, just that, you're gonna have to go back after your buyers and be, looking for, making sure you stay on top of them in every single way, so you can convert, because I do think it's harder to convert leads now than it was in the beginning, at least what I have seen, or maybe it's because my passion or my energy behind it has not been.
But now you can see what they look at on Zillow, like your buyers looking at these properties, and you just call them, like,
Yeah, as I said, it's changed. It used to be very, very easy. I mean,
Yeah.
when we did leads in the beginning, it was literally a warm touch or the only touch. I mean, that's changed. And I don't know, as I said, I think it's nice to find one other agent that you can be, sharing business with or sharing the costs of getting some of this. It doesn't come cheap either, and it wasn't something I could afford right away. For years I worked someone else's business and I paid my dues and, and then someone paid their dues to me and then now, we're just even. Yeah. We don't.
Lisa, I know that you've do commercial as well. How has that been? Or do you like that? I mean, are they equal to you or?
it's over 50% of my business at this point,
Yeah,
so
no,
I
I'm getting well known.
Yeah, I do really enjoy it, and I mean, that's the other thing too, for me personally, I've always just kind of like to diversify. So right now, if I was just licensed in Nebraska and ending my residential business, I would be not very happy, but I do, I keep growing the commercial side and I get a lot of referrals and work with a lot of investor clients. And so I'm at the point now where I don't worry about where my business is going to come from. There's just always something there.
But I do think a lot of people approach her and think, oh, I want to do commercial, it's easy, but she's made the effort. I mean, she goes to all the events, she makes the connections, she goes to, stuff that I just don't have the time. She's invited me a lot of times and I just, with 2 little kids running around, I just don't have the time to put in, but she's always at her meetings, she's making those connections, and those connections have led to bringing projects to us that she'll bring me on because she'll know I'm strong and she knows she'll need help. We know when it's
Well, how many houses? We've got a builder who's doing some townhomes. She's going to build 16, and then there could be another project after that. So,
and she just knows and that she would be overwhelmed.
oh yeah,
And she knows I can bring another side to that can really help move it, bring the creative side and, that those relationships are where we thrive together.
Well, and commercial is so complicated. I think for me, I've done this for a lot of years. I don't want to touch it. I'm either going to go deep into it. Well, I'm either going to go deep into it and understand it and know it. And I've sold commercial when I was in the West Coast before, but it's scary. It was scary. You had oil pan check and all this crap. I'm like, it's way too
there's so many
complicated.
different asset classes.
So I always call Lisa. If somebody says commercial, I'm immediately I'm calling Lisa. And at the very least, she can do a consult and give advice. And then why don't you talk about what happens when somebody refers commercial to you? Because even as a very experienced agent, I don't want to touch something that's going to put first of all, the company at risk
Mm-hmm.
and myself and the client and, do it wrong because it costs and it is not fun to go to court. So,
And the contract's completely different. I mean, the verbiage, everything is completely different. So if you're not familiar with it. You
Or
have
others
that
on other
so
side.
speak to that in the form of like people referring to you and what that looks
Sure. Well, so a lot of kind of couple of things there. So I don't do every kind of commercial real estate. So sometimes people will come to me and it's like, so I'm trying to figure out like, okay, is this a good fit? Is that a good fit? And so on the referral side, I'm actually trying to right now kind of streamline some of that on my end of what that looks like. And it's not like a standard, oh, here's, a house referral 25%, because if it's a lease versus helping a buyer or sale, like those commissions and the time can be quite different. I mean, just on the commercial platforms, I spend like $900 a month on that for the church systems. So if somebody is like, just wanting a 1-year lease, it's almost like looking for an apartment,
Yeah.
But that, I mean, lately I get a lot of referrals for leasing, and it's kind of what I've discovered. It's a little bit of I think, an underserved market, and sometimes people don't realize that they can get help, and a lot of commercial agents, and I tell people, like, if you just call people back, like, that's a good start, because sometimes agents won't call you back, so, but it's grown, and some of you guys probably know who Brian Littler was, but I mean, that's truly how I got started. So in 2017, I had an opportunity I had a relationship with some people that owned a warehouse down in 17th and Cumming. And so that was my first kind of experience into the leasing world. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I enlisted Brian's help, and then we ended up working together for years. So I kind of grew it. But yeah, if it's something, I know my strengths in that, and I'm not going to take just everything and anything on. But yes, I do keep growing that side, and it's fun. I do enjoy it.
And she's a powerhouse with creating these relationships. Like, she gives me anxieties, and I mean, we travel a lot together. Like, we're going to see Red Rocks flying out tomorrow, and then we'll be back Saturday, to see a show, and we do that often. And half the time we're selling when we do that.
We'll get off.
But like, I mean, she's just a powerhouse with these people and these investors, and like, I always tell her, I'm like, I don't know how you guys. I mean, it's obviously, you have to know your niche, but if you're gonna dive into that industry, you really have to like go all in.
Own the
I think
lane.
that's what
She owns that lane. Yeah.
she does, and there's not a lot of women in that side of the industry too, and I mean, so impressed with what
But
she's
she
done
also
with that.
helps too. Like Stacy had a client and she was like, it's a simple deal. How do I do a contract? And you sent it and you're like, this is how you fill it out and need help, I'm here. So you're very open to help too.
Yeah, and same with like the letter of intent. Like I always want, like if an agent calls me and it's some people want to take it on themselves, and that's great, depending on, what it is, if they're comfortable with it. I want, like, if we're representing, to Carol's point, like, I'm very open about telling, okay, here's the steps, here's what to expect, here's how you should communicate, because it is a little different. You can't just call it, and they see residential agents a little different. So it's like, you kind of want to understand those lanes and be respected too. So yeah,
Right.
I will
Yeah.
help or share with what I can. And when you get into more complicated commercial stuff, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of, you're working with attorneys too. So I mean, it's, yeah.
I have a question on chat. How do you keep motivated?
How do I keep motivated?
Yeah.
You're looking at it.
I mean,
I just
gotta pay bills, right?
But beyond that, for me, I mean, yes, that's obviously motivation,
But I think a lot about mindset, and I focus on abundance versus scarcity, and that was a big mindset shift for me, I'd say, a couple of years ago, because in real estate, it can feel a little apprehensive about, those commissions and when they're coming in, and I can tell you pretty much the time point where that changed for me. So I just work with what drives me and what feels authentic, and if it excites me, then I know I'm doing the right thing. So negotiating big deals excites me.
How did you switch then from scarcity to abundance? Like, what did you actually do to change that path?
I do a lot of like, I don't know, morning is kind of my time, and what we think is what happens in our world. So we create that. So I just set the intention every day and be thankful. And, if you get into this negative mindset, it's just a spiral. So I'm very careful with how I think, what's really going on, and just projecting that out into the world, and stuff just comes to you. I don't know, is that a good answer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coffee helps
Very
too.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah, we do hang out with.
Yeah, we also have a lot of people depending on us for their, like we, have lots of people that depend on us for their well-being. Like, and we also have positioned ourselves that we know, like, when we need to find business, we know where to find it. Like, obviously,
The party chair I'm at, if I'm having a bit of Sarah's heard me in tears and my life is terrible, and she can give a good pep talk, and likewise.
yeah, it's just always nice to have that friend to lean on. But yeah, we do, as I said, if we are feeling it, we know where to go and start, because we've done that ground up. So like, if we have to backtrack and start doing that again, by all means, we know when we need to make ourselves busy, how to do it.
And you guys all know this, but real estate just surprises you all the time. Like, I just expect to be the unexpected anymore now. It's like you have, listening out there for a couple weeks, nothing, and you get 2 offers. Or there's just that stuff out of it. I don't know.
I'm transitioning into, something new for me, where I'm becoming extremely listing heavy, and like, they're not turning over quick, and I'm accumulating a lot of listing inventory, and I just have to learn how to, learn that way of navigating that type of business, and, just stay innovative, whatever you can be finding to like kind of get over that new hurdle, you just have to do it. Good questions.
Yeah.
So, a couple of questions. Because obviously you guys, I'll talk with Sarah, I'll talk with you a few different times, but you guys have hinted on that you change your lead gen stuff. You're not as heavy with online stuff, but as a fellow online lead guy, one, how did you said you talk with your sphere in your past study. I suck at calling back clients, like horrible at it.
Mm-hmm.
But calling leads, I have no problem. Do you guys find the same, or have you been able to transition to that? And then,
I never ever call my past sphere. I never have.
You never have?
Well, I touch on them in extremely different ways, and I write notes and I text. I never call, and I'm like, hey, I don't like my car guy calling me every month. It's not my thing, but
It's the touch points are really like a monthly. I mean, there's things, the monthly email,
I
newsletter or
probably
something.
more than her, but
Like
I
client party,
residential.
quarterly mailers. Do you do mailer every month?
Mailer every month.
Yeah.
They email every month, we do pop-up events, we do 2 client events. I don't do as many like pop buys and stuff. It's just, as I said, I got 2 young kids. It's like, I have to really start getting in. I just don't have time to deliver 100 pumpkins these days, but, just other touch points, just like I'll do the Valentine's Day pop-up, like, photo event or just something fun. And we don't always have huge numbers. I think this year we did a client event at Bellevue Berry Farm, and I had about 100 clients come, and that was like my biggest one. But typically we'll get like 30 to 40, but that doesn't matter. It's just the touch, right? Like,
Or all of a sudden you won't hear from somebody for a few years, but you stay in contact with them, and then they're reaching out.
Yeah, if they have a baby, I send them a baby onesie with future home, or just little touch points. I go into a listing appointment, I get called into someone that I haven't talked to on the phone in 8 years, 5 years, and the first thing they said is, "You do such a great job of staying in touch." And I'm like thinking, all right. whatever. And then obviously I think social media is more of like just keeping top of mind, not to gain business. Like I don't have people calling to work with me on social media. Like my goal
But
is
she might have a
not to be
website
an
that you
influencer.
could fill out a buyer or seller's form if you
Yeah.
want. So you have,
I work with a branding specialist to really implement quick things. So I have a buyer form link, I have a seller's form link, I have a vendor link. You know, so when someone reaches out to me, I'm like, great, I need you to fill out my buyer's form. This will get my file started, you know, and then if they take the steps to fill that out and get back to me, then they have my attention. You know, if they don't, I kind of move on. So, but you know, we have like, obviously I developed the website and stuff, but I also work with branding specialists that implements a lot of like innovative ideas, and there's still so many. You know, sometimes you get a little overwhelmed by it, but I just try to stay pretty basic. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You know, my social media girl that does all my social, has tried to get me to do TikTok because I'm like, it's just not my thing. Yeah. I still, like, no, it's just, I can't do it. But some people, it's a great niche, you know, and I'm not good at talking on my platforms. I have phobia of like,
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm just curious. Just
Yeah,
scared
so-
of confusing how I would ever call people, but
yeah.
I just was like, man, did you guys ever shift that? Like where you were like, yeah, I can call you Barley, or, you know, I mean, I know we used to be under that same website that I was under one time, and calling people and just doing whatever. I'm like, I don't care about this. Say,
yeah, the
keep
call,
it down.
sometimes texting too, and everyone, you know, you can try if you're not getting their attention that way. Maybe they want to text. There's some people that only want to talk on the phone. They hate texting, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Then my second question was, kind of said one thing about like just showing up and going, but then I also heard that you did buyer consultations. So do you guys do buyer consultations on those online meetings? Or you just go and show?
I mean, I would prefer to get them in front of me and walk through the steps. I usually tell them it's beneficial to them, you know, for me to go through all these documents. It's a lot of information to retain, and we move fairly quick in this industry, so, you know, it's beneficial to them for me to go over that. But I definitely have resistance from some people that won't sell it, and I'm kind of like, fine. It depends on the client or
The buyer. I will definitely do a buyer consultation. I mean, right now, I don't have a ton of buyers I've been working with, but I have a lot of leasing clients. And so the more education you can do, like I just had a leasing consult yesterday. So if you can sit down with that person and kind of go through the steps, so especially in that world, most, you know, a lot of people bought a house, but maybe they've never, this is their first business venture to lease something. So I've discovered that those appointments are very beneficial. And for me, it's different from residential, but setting expectations, because it's different on both sides, like whether you're looking at it on the commercial side or the residential.
I think warm handoff referrals for me are easier to get the buyer consult than like an internet lead necessarily, because if the people searching on the internet that aren't dedicated to anyone, they have like, there's no emotion, no attachment there, so they're just bouncing around, right, to get what they want immediately. Versus like a warm referral handoff, like I typically am like, okay, first step, you know, they're asking us for the steps. So like first step, you know, fill out the buyer form. Second step, let's meet in my office for 30 minutes, and then, you know, get you approved and then start the house. So I think more on like my handed referrals from my past clients are easier to get the buyer consults out. Internet leads, as I said, it's like they're just moving and
you gotta assess their knowledge too, like that, like how much, what do they know, what do they don't know, what do they need to know. And so like if I mean, there's definitely been buyers where I never had a buyer consult and we just kind of hit the ground running. But I'm doing a lot of education while we're out looking at houses or talking, or like, you know, do they know what an earnest deposit is? I'm educating on the property. I'm like, oh, I see this. Well, here's a radon system. If you can, you know what this is. Oh, they've got galvanized pipes, you know, just all those little things. I do a lot of education when I'm just walking and talking.
you just gotta figure out a way to get.
Because some people don't, they're just not gonna wanna sit down with you. And some people are like, yeah, that'd be great, you know, so I never have I evaluate the person and it's, you know, try to meet them where they are for how they like to receive information.
I think it's much harder to convert internet leads now than it used to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different avenues they go through, and like so many people connecting. I typically tell someone, I'm like, okay, first thing, like, don't click anymore on the internet, because like they're feeling overwhelmed, and you have to accept, hey, are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you getting flabbergasted? This is why, stop clicking here, find your person.
Sometimes they know. I got a client who I sold their house.
Well, I worked with them for a large investment deal, and I don't even remember how I had a client that I got, met these people. And then I sold his house, and he calls me up, and, he's not in okay, sorry. He moved to Utah. I don't think he's coming back. A year later, he calls me, and he said, well, I think we might be selling. He's like, but we're not in a big hurry. It could be a year. Don't believe people. If they're not in a hurry, they're absolutely in a hurry. I've had that happen too many times. But then he's like, he would use people, like, he was like, well, I saw this one house, and he put Zillow, and he knows what happens. He's like, but don't worry, we're going to use you. So, somebody did a video tour for him. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, it's just, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I get burned too. I still get burned. It's like, it's just a part of the business.
It is.
I mean,
It
you
is.
just
You
gotta
gotta
move
just
on.
let it go.
Yeah. Like, I had one go, I was like specifically told them not to go to Celebrity without me, and like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, or just tell them, like, here's what will happen. You hit the button, then you're gonna get a lot of calls. Don't worry, just call me. I can show you anything.
The listing I got off 48 ad that's active right now, and she didn't respond to me right away. Like, she came in on the internet, like, making different inquiries. And sure enough, she wrote to me, I don't even know who's contacting me. And I basically was like, this is why, because you clicked here, you're getting overwhelmed. Let's backtrack, schedule an in-person meeting. I'll help walk you through the process from there. And typically, yeah, 'cause otherwise, I mean, we've got who knows who calling them. And I don't even think it's just that. I mean, they might be like,
Lenders are calling.
God knows who these days. I mean, I don't even know. I suppose this thing gets stalked by like security companies, or whatever it might be. So, yeah. But it's something that these platforms have changed so much since I even. And I've got realtor.com calling me to work their leads, try to get it. I just don't have the time. It takes a lot of time and energy and commitment, and like, you're going to convert them, you need to be available and willing and able to show them fairly quickly. So you could have nothing on your Saturday, and then all of a sudden you're out, showing, 5 properties. It really depends on your hustle. Yeah.
You still have time to vacation together. Tell us about that.
We do. We go see music a lot. I mean, music is like the one time both of us can just put down our phones and like not feel like we have to be checking on something. It's just, so we go see music a lot. We typically will even make a 24-hour turnaround, and sometimes we're doing deals while we're, but usually as soon as we go to the show, like, our phones are off. We're pretty transparent about our availability, setting those expectations up front, and then we just enjoy our evening together, and then pick up the next morning. Because if you don't shut it off, I mean, my husband still, like, you're always on your phone, like, it's our, I just feel like I'm glued to this sometimes, and so music is our one way to like shut that off. So we travel a lot together. We always have fun when we go to ATA or like Apex and stuff. We make sure we like link music to it and do something fun. And like tomorrow you've done that. So I do listening radio.
Well, you do have to, like, I got kind of burnt out and worn out working facilities too. So you do have to recognize, like, it's okay for a while to grow that business and grow that network, but then you do have to like make sure to take time for yourself. And at this point, I do work some weekends, but I try to preserve my weekends for me. And it's easier with my flow now because I am doing more of the commercial side of stuff. So it's and more listings. So it's easier with, we've got buyers every day, so.
Yeah, and you have to put in that work, and I think, yeah, over the
Yeah.
years, like, as much passion as I had converting them, you're just eager, it's like a drug, you're just like, I want more, like, you just convert them, and it's just, yeah, you get burned out, and I think now I definitely am like, do I want this, do I not, I should probably work this,
You're
so.
able to qualify them and say, this is how it works. Oh, we don't do it that. Okay, that's fine. No problem. Just, if you don't
Yeah.
wanna do it the way I wanna do it, then that's okay. Just do it with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean,
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and I just went into a listing appointment and I had told him straight to his face, like, if you think this is what you're gonna list the property for, I'm not the agent for you. And I think we
We let
eventually
yes a
get
lot,
to
but there
that.
are some no's.
Yeah, we say yes a lot. I still like some modular homes to like, whatever. I think it's all about the dedication. If they're dedicated to me, and putting the time to me, I will return the favor.
I think one of the most important things that you guys talk about through the whole thing is, and I think you said it in the words early on, was to provide immediate value. Because that's probably the biggest. I interact with a lot of agents all over the US, and that's one of the biggest words that is coming up right now that is not actually, it's been something we've taken for granted, particularly as buyer representation. So if there's anything that I think everybody should glean from this is this immediate providing of value, and you made a list, like, here's, we give you this, we give you that, we go back, I give you this, I immediately like holding on to them and providing value, because how did we didn't have to sell to buyers before. There's a house, 45 people wanted it, and, can you fight? So I think that's
You just made
fantastic.
me think of something like, know your inventory, like, this just happened on the way here, Sarah gave me an Iowa referral, and we didn't even know that he was potentially looking at commercial, but like, he called me and I knew exactly the property that he was referring to, and he didn't even tell me the address, he's like, well, you're in on a 5-year lease, and I go, 219 South Main, oh yeah, like.
Sounds like Jim Reader in Midtown.
Well, that's the thing, you were sure.
That's great, yeah.
It used to be a lot better. When I worked facilities, I worked a lot at east, because I liked older homes, and so I still miss it sometimes. Like Colleen, still does a lot with Zillow and those approaches, like, oh, I'm selling all this good homes. But I knew the inventory. Like I knew, working 68106 and 68105 and 68104. Like I knew those codes like the back of my hand. So I knew, what was on the market, what wasn't. I knew this wasn't a good fit. I could throw off 3 other houses. I knew when they were talking about something, I knew what house that was. Because I would just study that inventory.
Fantastic.
I still study 66 a lot just because I live there. I have a few clients looking in that pocket right now, but now I'm kind of like a little bit more strict all over the place. So I don't, but especially on my listings, like when I call my seller, I immediately look how many properties we're at, like where we sit in that pipeline. Just picking up little tidbacks, of like, I know there's 30 houses we're competing with right now. I know we're sitting number 11 in the middle of those on price point, all the thing. I know that I've called all these other agents, this type of activity they're getting. It's not just us, it's the area as a whole, all these things in big.
One word that I haven't heard, but I think is really important is trust, that you two have. You pretty much have that established right away.
Yeah, we just always just use that. When I bring her on, it's automatically, we don't even, obviously she works or Iowa, half the time I just pass her Iowa, but she might give me a referral fee every now and again. Usually, she's put so much time in, I'm just like, here you go, And we're very generous with each other.
It's a non-issue.
But yeah, there's no, when I bring her onto my commercial, or if I know her resources, it's just no brainer. It's 50-50. We're in it together. Our expenses, we just we just know, just live with it.
People need to find the person. It's like,
It's not easy.
it's not easy, but, you can't give up. You just have to trust and have a mindset, like you say.
I mean, we all work differently, so we just kind of like meshed that well, and we also got lucky that we have a lot of like outside similar interests too, so. But yeah, it is nice always having that support of someone, especially when you're working as an industry by yourself and not on a team.
Any final questions from anyone? Do we do something? Have we here on? Let's see what's on chat. I think Jen said. Sean says, hey, love, what keeps you motivated, and good for you for turning down that overpriced listing.
I always tell them, I said, that is my name, that is my reputation. Like, I'm not gonna put my name on that because I'm the one that has to answer all the people calling me and asking me, what am I thinking? It's just not gonna happen.
First time
Yeah.
you fire a buyer, the first time you do that, it's so freeing. It's like, oh my God, I actually did that.
It's funny, you tell them that, they want more.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, when you,
Keep that how it is.
yeah. No, I think that's good because we're going to be seeing here, and we're already seeing so much inventory that's overpriced in all the price ranges. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. I'm still pricing my properties at average. I did a thing with Karen Jennings. We spoke together, and she, suggesting that she maybe list like 10,000 under. I do suggest that at my listing permits because I thought that was vital too. So right now I go into still pricing at average. I don't think we should be over, but I do make suggestions if we want to move it a little quicker, maybe we could be a little under, and I let my client there.
Right. I think we're going to see an uptick in overpriced listings because people are going to get desperate just to get a listing, and then it's just going to sit there. And like you said, it doesn't make you look good. At the end of the day, it doesn't make you look good.
And you should be working to get your client what you price that home for, not working to get an immediate price reduction. I mean, I have had clients approach me more for the price reduction than them, and I've encouraged them to wait a little bit. But also people's timeline is, I said, I'm on board to do what you want, but I still think, we're a little early. I don't think you should be pushing price reductions unless you're really low, you're not getting anything. I mean, 30 days, at least, but I guess you just have to feel each property. I just listed one at Bellevue. If anyone has a Bellevue buyer, $285. We haven't had a single showing. We're 30 on the market. So, I mean,
Did you prep them for that?
Yeah, I have prepped them. And
Maybe share that dialogue.
I mean, I typically tell my clients, like, our market's kind of like a little roller coaster right now. Some pockets are doing better than others. Some pockets that are competing with more inventory we're going to start getting into the normal market time. So if you're not getting a lot of showings in the first week, don't go crazy over it. Let me do my job. Let's market it. Let me, stay in front of people. Let me, give me time to bring the buyers there. And then giving them updates weekly, which I learned from Tim. I mean, Tim said that, that he does those weekly touch points, and I do think it's important to touch base with them at the beginning of the week, or even just checking in. If you haven't had showings in 3 days, I mean, yeah, I am kind of keeping my clients motivated and just saying, hey, these are just a little all over the place right now, but they'll come, you just have to be patient.
I had a military client tell me that there's a bill that they haven't passed or something, and so there's not a lot of people PCSing right now. So I think it's kind of might be another thing involved because he was really close to the base. So they were buying in Iowa, selling in Nebraska. They're waiting to screen up. But
yeah, and you got to figure out a way to coach these buyers to buy now, because it's not like, it's going to go one way or the other. You're going to be paying more for the less rate, or vice versa. It's going to equal out some way. I mean, I do have a lot of buyers on the bench right now, just saying, oh, we're gonna wait for this rate to come down, and I'm just like, it's gonna cost you more than.
I just talked to Misty a couple days ago and said it's time for you to do another Katie Porter whiteboard. Well, the Katie Porter back with the whiteboard where she shows like how much it costs, how much it costs.
Yeah.
So if you wait, like based on equity versus the amount of payments that you're making. And it's super quick and she's gonna do it and give it out to the agents. So something we can share.
So interesting, we just did one for these guys' group. They weren't there, but if they were there, it was their group, their mastermind group. But ran a report for seasonality from closings that took place in January 21, 22, and 23, closings that took place in May 21, 22, and 23. Consistently a 9% increase. So there is seasonality. We don't talk about seasonality, and those increases are the increases if you take the just the inflationary component are 4% average. So there is a 5% better buy. So what does that mean? People between November, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, or the first of the year, or holiday season, or the first of the year, they are getting better buys historically, even in more robust markets, and than they are in the spring market. Because think about it, nobody really lists their house in November. So we have more seller fatigue because we have more days on the market. So I've got a graph that I've just got to put it in a graph, but but you start talking about it, if you have a 5% head start, that first year your 8% interest rate is 3.
Yeah.
So we never really talk about seasonality because we don't want sellers to think that because they want to list their houses, but they're really not going to list their houses anyway. So we might as well work on the money. And then you see a lot more.
Really, it's time to start to bring your buyers. Like, you just really need to get them comfortable with getting, because it's going to be more price negotiation on their end, getting some seller concessions. You're going to be having a meeting that are going to be working back, and like, you need to get them excited about that. And yeah, and this is the time for they're heavy to start working and converting.
Well, thank you.